So we continue in the Udanavarga, the second half of the 15th, uh, 15th chapter on mindfulness. Last week we finished with verse number 17, the importance of the mind, recollection of the Buddha as mindfulness subject, recollection of Dhamma, recollection of Sangha, recollection of generosity, recollection of discipline, and recollection of a deity. This is known as six recollection, but here in this text it doesn't say that. It just lists among all the others. But people like Nagarjuna then extract it from the text like this and then put them as a six recollection with the last six topics we went through. Now the verse number 18. Those who recollect bodily mindfulness, both day and night, meaning that those who meditate, because and then reflect their body, and that they have is not some one single entity that itself is itself. It is composite of many things assembled together, from the marrows of the bone to the actual bones and the flesh and the skin and all of that are all actually transient collections. Body has to be best remembered as a transient collection. When you know body is transient collection, then when you see the body proving of its fragility, of its weakness, then we do not suffer. The benefit of mindfulness is it is the nature of the body, that it does, that it is fragile, that it is essenceless, it is particularly not self. So that is really useful mindfulness. Most people's suffering comes from thinking, this is me, and look at their body, and look at the particular parts of the body, and then feel sad because the body is not this or that, or long enough when it's not long, when it's short, and then it's too short, when it's long, it's too long, never adequately happy with the body. If the knee has no problem, of course that's fine, but if the knee has a problem, then one makes noise, one is miserable because of the knee. One doesn't know the knee itself is not a knee. It's assembled many pieces together, including the knee cap. We call in Tibetan pimo melon. If the surround disc on the knee is not there, then this is replaceable. So body is not really what it appears. It definitely is not real and permanent and strong. It is fragile, and not only our body, it's other people's body. Because then people think it's their body, it's them, and then they suffer. But those who recollect the Buddha's teaching, extensive teachings of the Buddha's teaching on the body, both day and night, not only when your body suffers problems, even when you're really happy with your body, that you look so wonderful or whatever. People say you look beautiful or something. You've got to meditate straight away. That's not right. It looks beautiful to them, but I feel very painful inside. Yeah. People may say your body is beautiful, but deep inside the skin, the person who lives in there don't feel the same. So the disciple Buddha properly should be awakened himself of the true nature of the body, and also he will awaken others. You can also, this is like we are doing, we are telling each other, by the way, the body is, you should know the body is not wholly, truly existing. It is assembled. It is composite of many bits and pieces together, and particularly some people got certain parts of somebody's body on their body when they do the skin or burn skin, and they basically, some people blood, other people's blood in their body. Other people, yeah, I know someone who has his son's kidney on in his body. So, and of course, our body itself is not our body; it's a gift of Mother. So that's mindfulness body. It's very important. Very important topic, that one. We can never underestimate. Kanshi nyin dan chen da to ding zin xie chen ba ko dan mei nyin de like ba separate. Next topic is meditate, the meditative concentration. Those who recollect the four meditative concentration, this is the four meditative concentration of the higher level meditation. So entering into the meditation, then abiding into the meditation, and then experience 7 particular preparatory stages of the samadhis. So of course here, those who lacked these experiences, you can't recollect what you don't know. So, but if you read, or if you read the description and amazing heights of meditative concentration, during which there's amazing bliss and pliancy and lack of craving for company and activities and food and comfort and desire, all those meditative concentration and their benefit that we have heard or read before, we should delight the benefit of meditative concentration. And that is the disciple Buddha who himself will awaken and inspire to do meditative concentration, and also will tell other people, teach other people, show other people that they too should meditate, that they are also worthy, eligible to experience those profoundly transcendental meditative experiences people have. All the benefit, social, health, emotional, and a lot of performance, intellectual, all this benefit of meditation we can tell others, and what we remember, and therefore induce others to be delighted by doing meditative concentration. So that's about mindfulness of remembering the benefit of meditation, benefit of the sadhana. So in that case, like people who've been doing sadhana, they should remember, ever since however long I've been doing this, at least even you know many sadhana, but at least you know a few of them you've been doing. And you should recollect, it's benefit of doing all these sadhanas that I'm really still bent on in practicing Dharma. And this is a gift of the great practitioners of the past, and therefore one should rejoice the sadhanas, mantras that one is doing, and also encourage other people to do the practices of meditation. Good. Kanshi nindang tsayan namsu tsewa mebla iga koda menyinde lekbar separate euro. Now this is the those who have taken, for instance, the first precepts, those who taken first precept seriously and have taken precept not to kill any living beings, and not only that, that not engaging any violent activities, physical violence or verbal violence. And so those who delight in non-violence, because one has to know that one has resorted to non-violence from violence, like the King Ashoka, who was violent, he violent, or Angulimala, who was very harmful. His name is Hansika. Hansika means who's always harming. And later, when he didn't harm anybody, he's Ahansika. Hansika, who's non-violent. Hansika, like that. So delight, to say someone who has been not just physically violent, but who have done harmful things. Say to their family, they drank, and then became angry, and they became violent, caused a lot of hurt and pain. And ever since the person dropped that, then you delight in his or her transformation from violent behavior to aggressive behavior, aggressive way of speaking become non-aggressive for speaking. So those who delight in non-violence, not only in the teachings, but the shift and change they themselves have adopted, or shift and change and improvement that other people are doing, you can see how the Dharma softens and changes, and just they're delighting in the non-violent messages of Dharma, for instance, and then thinking practicing non-violent is the true disciple of the Buddha, and one who does not engage in violence will not fall under the sway of his greed or anger or so on, because he basically have believed in non-violence. Even though he was greedy, he just controlled himself. Even though he was angry, he controlled himself. So by merit of having the precepts of non-violence, people are able to contain and restrain their desire, greed, hatred. Not that they don't have greed and desire, but they're able to moderate them and reduce them through the blessings of the practice of non-violence. So one therefore needs to delight in the virtues of non-violence. And because one is non-violent, even if somebody is violent, you didn't retaliate. It's amazing. And so the one who does not retaliate actually is more powerful than one who's violent, because the violent person's violence has been pacified by the non-violent person. So we need to rejoice. They say delight in the virtue of non-violence. So if there is a household in where there is no violence, there's real happiness, and there's no verbal violence. There is true happiness. The household where there is suffering, which obviously there must be physical violence and verbal violence, verbal abuse they call it. And so among those people who have realized to harmfulness of that and then restrain that, there will be an improvement of the quality of happiness and respect and love between everyone. So there will be a lot to remember the virtue and blessings of non-violence, and even someone who's not so patient person become patient, because when they're not patient, they resort to violence. Maybe not to people, but to things. They throw things, and those things are very destructive. Every time you look at the thing that the person threw, it's just it's there always. Sadness is there, always there, And so therefore, ever since the person corrected themselves not to engage in violence and practice non-violence instead, then you can see what a blessing. That is the teachings of the teaching and practitioner of this disciples of Gautama are properly and slowly learning to grow themselves, and this will promote some similar messages to others. So that's really practicing, meditating on the virtue of non-violence. Now this one is people who lack ill will, delight in the people who lack ill will. You can tell someone who lack ill will, or you can feel they still have grudges and ill will towards somebody. But then when you see them get rid of the ill will, the way how they speak and where they think is so apparent, so obvious, that they have some joy and they don't have this yoke put on their neck by the ill will. Now they're set free. It's like people are free. One who's free of ill will is happy. So those who delight in the lack of ill will between people or about issues, you no longer have it. It's clarified, and you realize it's so completely childish, and that is rising. Like those who delight in the lack of ill will probably is a result of learning to get rid of ill will, and then become free from that curse, and then being free of ill will. you will notice those who have no ill will actually would have do not resort to violence and do not resort to alcohol, do not resort to other things. Those who have ill will and they're really waiting to ambush, and they just can't contain their anger, and then they're rough with other things where they speak is bad, and then they can be very easy to, they were very, very vulnerable to resort to, they will, if those who have ill will go and get a gun. Those who have no ill will would think of throwing of gun, you know. So some people who can't contain their anger are now want to go to buy a gun. Yes, when you see all the violence in society, the person who's using gun, he was resorting to violence because he has ill will of the place of his work where they fired him. Yeah, that's right. But those people who get fired just as like them, instead of ill will, they say, oh, I worked there 8 years, they gave me amazing experience. They still speak very kindly, no show of sign of any ill will. It's very good, isn't it? When you see somebody, even though they seem to be a little bit unfairly treated. But if you see somebody who don't show any sign of ill will, it's a great cause for hope for humanity when you see that. He doesn't complain and nag about how he was fired. He talk about how many years of job security experience he had, and then rejoicingly speak a benefit of that, and speaks no sign of ill will because he hasn't got ill will. One who has no ill will, you not only makes him well, but delights others. That's what those who delight in the lack of ill will, not just of theirs, but also just part of the lack of ill will, and other friends or people you know. You know, they went so much through that, but no sign of ill will. This is exactly what people are probably seeing, like His Holiness Dalai Lama, when he talks about, he says he's no ill will, there's no benefit of ill will. Even someone to rob your country, whole thing, there's no benefit in ill will. That instead we rejoice the culture of the people or how interested those people are. Sure, we might have some issue with some system, but that's not that. Really, there's no sign of ill will of any kind. That's how people rejoices His Holiness, not because they want to be Buddhist, not because he's a monk, because he actually definitely teaches and practices kindness and compassion. Only those who lack ill will actually can practice kindness. You can't just promote kindness if you have ill will. People who have no ill will be free to practice kindness. You can't say kindness is my religion if you have not overcome ill will. So the amazing confidence and beautifully touching the message that His Holiness Dalai Lama reaches to so many people just through his name, just by thinking of him, they think of him a great monk, simple Buddhist monk of amazing good heart. Why? Because he do not show any sign of ill will. But from personal life point of view, it's a tragedy to what happened to Tibet and what happened to particularly the present Dalai Lama. And I imagine, he had to disguise as a soldier and put a gun and sneak out of his palace. That's awful, really. That's a so demeaning thing to do. You know what I mean? But no ill will. You have to be amazing. So therefore, those who lack in the lack of ill will, not just the notion of it, but people who do it. Yeah, that's very powerful to witness. I think that's why the blessing, His Holiness is such a blessed entity, blessed presence, because he definitely have no ill will. Not because people think he's a bodhisattva, he's a monk, but because he actually shows with a great sense of confidence in his act and teachings. If just being a monk is like that, then every other person who is a monk will be able to show that. So those, and of course, you will see even ordinary people, not necessarily as a Buddhist, but those who show no ill will but still kind to others. Those are what we need to learn to rejoice and rekindle hope for humanity. Yes, the benefit of lack available. Benefit of lack available, So, which means meditate on the benefit of compassion. That's what we're talking about. Those who delight in the benefit of compassion. Instead of saying this, here it says, delight in those who lack ill will, Lack ill will, both day and night. And you can think about that. And if you have met one or two people in your life who really are showing amazing good heart, show no ill will, speak no harshly about others, when you see them, you will find them as a real hero, bodhisattvas. That disciple of Gautama Buddha, who is properly awakened, will awaken others. Exactly. The moral authority, formidability of his intellectual confidence he has the power to awaken and benefit many people because he himself have no ill will. So those who have ill will, they help. They do also to help also, not very effective. Those who have good will, no ill will, their benefit is enormous. Tsongkhapa said, Sampa Sangana Satang Lamya Sang. He says, if your thought is good, which means if you have good will, then the path and stages and various levels all will be good. So that means if one has ill will, then one will meet up with a lot of disasters. Yeah, ill will can bring disasters, not just physical illness and mental cloudiness, but whatever one does, one will meet with disasters after disasters. But others who don't have ill will, whatever they do, have very, very positive outcomes and good consequences. Why? Because it's the benefit of goodwill and demerit of ill will. It's quite easily shown. That's why Buddha says such a person who not a delight but who has no ill will be able to awaken himself. He is. It doesn't mean meditate. He just live goodwill, and he will be able to awaken other people, inspire other people. Might even get Queen's honors. Some people get Queen's honors. I'm sure that if you read those people who get honors, they did this, they did this, they did this. They did a lot of heroic activities, selfless things. Kanshi nindan tsenam su gomba yini igawa, kotna mai nindan lekpa sera use. Now this is those who delight in doing meditation. This is those who may have yet to experience the amazing result of meditation, but they still do meditation. Those who delight to do meditation, whenever, both day and night, that disciple Buddha will properly become awakened. Because this is talking about cause and effect. The effect is Buddhahood, the cause is meditation. So those who delight in creating the causes will be disciple of the Buddha, will slowly evolve, awaken themselves, and then will also be able to teach and empower and awaken other people as well. So being able to so that shows that learning to do meditation and even learning to teach others is really will be amazing merit. To delight to do meditation. So one shouldn't say, I don't know the subject very well to teach. Actually, teaching others is the best way to learn oneself, and by sharing the knowledge of the others. One must be delightable by doing meditation, Because if oneself is not sort of quite sure about one's meditation, that's the very reason that one should do. And when one who doesn't know how to do meditation does and become good at it, then it's only such person when can teach others. Not everybody is born with a meditative skill as they're born. So people learn to meditate first themselves, then delight the fact they do the meditation, and then delightfully learn to facilitate and share and teach others. And when they do that, the benefit of that will awaken others. Because it is through meditation Buddha got enlightened. Through meditation, Milarepa got enlightened. It is through meditation the great many other practices got enlightened. There are many people may study a lot, maybe read a lot, but so long as they don't meditate, they have not much to delight themselves in concerning with the result of meditation. Because if you don't create the causes, you don't have result to delight with. If you do that just intellectual study, read a lot of things and write even and so on, that's quite different, because they're just academic knowledge, theoretical knowledge. I suppose there's a little bit of joy and gratitude, a sense of accomplishment there too. We're not saying there aren't, but nothing in comparison to doing benefit of meditation. So that's why it is not listed in here that those who delight in the study, So it doesn't say that. Those who delight in meditation, because from meditation and in meditation, one will realize ultimate bodhicitta, one will realize renunciation, one will realize all sorts of teaching that one theoretically understood and read, but do not actually know how to actually gain the realization, because the realization of those teachings necessarily come within meditation. Say refuge. If you do the meditation and refuge and delight in doing the refuge practice as not just as something to start the practice with. Most people think the refuge is something you do 3 times so that you can do other important things. But in preliminary practice, refuge itself can be done as a main meditation. You could meditate. The object of meditation is the triple gem, and you therefore put your mind with the emotional reason why you go for refuge, and you employ your body in doing the refuge, physically in terms of paying homage in either elaborate form of prostration or simple form, just folding the hands and heart, and think that you are in the presence of all the triple gem and all the lineage masters and so on before you. One who do that meditation will come to know and realize what refuge is. What true refuge is, because refuge should be an experience. You don't experience refuge unless you do the refuge itself as a main practice, combined with prostration, spend considerable number of hours, weeks and months in really trying to improve the quality realization meditation. So those who delight in the meditation on refuge, is different from those who delight in reading and hearing teachings on the refuge. So therefore, refuge itself could be meditated. It should be the subject of meditation. Bodhicitta itself also can be done as a subject of meditation. If one rejoices the meditation on the bodhicitta, the demerit of selfishness and the merit of selflessness, and the room it creates in one's heart to create room for loving kindness and compassion, and then the meditation, then one can really delight the meditation on bodhicitta, on refuge, and so on. So that's why those who delight in the meditation in general, but specifically certain meditation subjects such as, even say foundation mindfulness of the body or feeling and so on. If you just delight in the meditation, you just did the recently first 4-week course, and if you're just learning to sit still and really delighting, knowing how to sit still, knowing how to scan the body without losing the posture, that one is actually one point able to come back and correct the posture, meditation, doing it again and again. The very fact the person is now able to sit still half an hour each day or something like that, and when he's able to do that, he will find a lot of delight. You know, those who delight in the meditation, such as on mindfulness of governing the body, or the mindfulness of watching the rounds of breath, or mindfulness of meditating on loving kindness, or mindfulness meditation on compassion or joyfulness or whatever the case may be. So in this way, those who ever delight in a meditation, both day and night, that disciple Buddha will properly be awakened. Yeah, he will be properly awakened one day and will awaken others. So that these last two lines are exactly the same, you know. Maybe last three lines, actually. It's only the first line that is different. Now, next topic is Kanshi Jintam Senam, Tongpa Nila Igawa, Kotamai Nindu the Labor Service. This means those who delight in emptiness. You know? If those people who are able to delight in the emptiness, has to be someone who has heard or read, contemplated, and also reasonably understand the merit of emptiness. And those who recollect and delight in emptiness as a teaching, as a profound teaching, and being able to even use it as a subject to meditate, and then try to dissolve all wrong views, all flawed conception of phenomena and self, and one's past experiences. Because when one focuses with concentration, then you can see the emptiness of the feelings, emptiness of things. We are not talking of emptiness as empty of things' existence. It's not that. Emptiness of true, independent, inherently existing. So when one is able to do delight in the teachings of emptiness, even the feelings you have about some past experience doesn't drain you. You don't get flooded by sadness or hurt. Why? Because you're able to meditate on the emptiness of the feelings. You can meditate on the emptiness of perception. You can meditate on the emptiness of your mistakes or wrongdoings of others. Because, you know, when we meditate on the five aggregates, emptiness, five aggregates, meditation on this volitional actions, meaning someone did harmful thing to you. If you meditate on the volition action of harmful behavior of other people, it means the harmful thing that they did is not independently existing. It is dependently existing for sure, but it does not independently exist. And by knowing that, then you see the meditation on emptiness. Then, of course, you can delight on meditation on emptiness, because every time you knowingly and you educatedly meditate on emptiness, it does help. You know, it doesn't mean meditation on emptiness and then you don't know what to do. That obviously shows we haven't heard the teaching on emptiness or how to meditate on emptiness. But when those who know how to delight in the teachings of emptiness have heard how to, emptiness is a great compassionate practice. Emptiness is not a nihilistic denial practice. You know? Emptiness is greatly compassionate to empower us to know the suffering caused by belief, thinking I is real and things are real. And so the great compassion empowers us to inform people, no, self and the phenomena are not truly and existing, let alone a permanent one. That teaching on emptiness is a compassion-motivated teaching. It's not trying to outperform and challenge other sort of rival philosophical schools, thinking that we got the best view and yours is wrong type of thing. There is no our view that is inherently existing either. I mean, that's very, very important. That's why Nagarjuna says he has no view. It's very clever that way. He has no view. He says, because I have no view, so I'm flawless. So therefore, the emptiness of view, very good. Emptiness of view and emptiness of self who has the view, which really helps, you see. But as soon as we have a view over feelings and perception, we are in trouble. So, therefore, emptiness of the view. Even view is not truly existing, remember? Even view. Yeah. So those who delight in understanding of the meditation and the teaching on emptiness definitely can be classed as a disciple of the Buddha. Definitely be classed as people who have heard the perfection of wisdom teaching. Definitely they can prepare for their imminent awakening. They can prepare for the permanent and imminent awakening. Yeah, and they can also be confident they can awaken other people. See, because this is the cause of the emptiness is the cause, mother of enlightened ones. You can give birth to enlightened ones, to others, if they are heedful to understand the teaching of emptiness. It has to be taught, because teaching is a subject to be known. Because when people study something, they don't know the subject. So emptiness is not a subject that is usually taught. So that's why it has to be heeded to wherever it is ever taught, which is not a lot of time. Have you ever seen a topic called emptiness and people are flocking into that? Oh, what's the topic? Emptiness. Oh, really? Oh. And most people think they wouldn't go because they don't know how to delight the benefit of hearing that. So that's why we, those who, few of us who have heard and understood emptiness, should not misinterpret teaching on emptiness as nihilism, but rather as a teaching of great compassion. Teaching of great compassion. There are a lot of teaching on small compassion. How to give other people, how not to retaliate when they hit you. That kind of compassion is a tolerance in society. Everybody will encourage them to practice tolerance and so on. But very few to say that the harm that someone causes is empty of inherent existence. And saying that is quite different from saying you should be tolerant and I give you a prize for it. So then those who actually understand and comprehend emptiness, and they have reason to delight every day. I heard that. And every time, and even if you have some situation that are reasonably difficult, they don't bite you. You don't see inherently bad situation. You don't see inherently you that will be harmed at all. Because these are all dependent to how you see it and what actually it is. It is not from its own side. It is not from its own side. It is totally dependent on many other factors. Because of that, it is empty of inherently existing problem that exists. Yeah, very important topic there, right? Next one, the kanshi nindan senus sema mela ikawa. Now this is the next one. Those who delight in signlessness. Because if you realize emptiness of something, then there isn't a lot of sign that is left. Because you say that, if we all empty of our name, we just also don't tell each of others our name. So one of our sign of who we are removed. I say, who is this? Let's look in his pocket. There's in the pocket. There's a sign to say he. There's in the pocket lots of things, but it doesn't say it's him. But people think the card is him. He could be carrying somebody else's card. Then they say, oh no, is there photo? No, there's no photo. Oh, so it means you can't tell that's him because. But if there's a sign, they might say, oh, does this look like him? So there is those who delight in signlessness. Those who do not see the sign that is truly existing from its own side, because the signs are also made out of. Signs are also made up. Signs are not truly existing. A name or signboard, even a signboard they call board. If you have a board, it's not a sign. You have to put the sign on the board. And just because it's signed board doesn't mean it's about you. It could be depending to what it is labeled to and what is the signing of. So therefore, there is no true sign that is truly existing. Therefore, signlessness. Those who delight in the signlessness, then they see the sign. Lack of sign means definitely emptiness. Lack of sign to which you are developing grasping to. Lack of sign that towards which you have aversion to grasping to. A lack of the ignorance of what the sign it is or what isn't a sign. So when one is able to delight in this, and then he is a true disciple of Gautama, and properly awakened, and he will awaken others. So that's that. And next, Kashi said, "Wembalani yigawa, Gautama yindu the lego sepe. No, the next one is those who delight in solitude." This means you have to know what solitude is and what are the sets of qualities that solitude creates as a place of meditation and simplicity and troubles and distractions. So when you delight in going to a solitude place or description of place, there's description of place that is far away from everywhere. All you can see is the sky and the sea or the bush or wildlife. There's not a single person or activities happen there. You're completely free to do anything what you do, particularly you want to meditate or study or pray. Those who delight in the virtues of solitude, undemanding. It doesn't, nobody comes to you, nobody demands anything of you, nobody could get hold of you, nobody's phone calls will reach you, your phone, because there is no signal, sounds like no sign, no signal sign. So there's signlessness, no signallessness, no signal is good. So that's why you realize you can't hear bad news, you can't send good news. So it is isolated. It's so isolated from everywhere. You could not receive problems from others. You could not cause suffering to other people, and you couldn't talk to others to cause problems to others. They're not there to talk to you as a person. Solitude is the only nature and the birds and the flora and fauna and wildlife exists, and they are completely harmless. They are completely always adequately living in nature without having to work a 9-to-5 job. They're always chirping and singing their throats and picking a few berries from here and there, and there is no traffic in solitude, no delay in solitude, no sort of great deadline in solitude, no heavy demands on place on you, and in solitude your mind will decrease desire, ill will, and you become free of all the expectations. And in solitude you almost feel you and your problems are so small. The vastness of emptiness of nothing is so big. And in solitude there isn't anyone to whom you complain to, or you can't say it's a fault of anyone else. It totally transcends your small mind and allow yourself to expand your mind as vast as the horizon of solitude it is. And it will sometimes feel sad. But when you feel sad, not having anyone around, that's the time you realize this probably is the best moment to meditate on the lack of people and their reliability. So therefore, they're not there when you need it. And you thought you had them, they ignore you totally, which is really good. So then you're, now I'm completely free. I'm completely free from demands. I'm completely free from not fulfilling other people's wishes. I'm not there to criticize too. They are not there to criticize to me. Uh, and then out of sight, out of mind, so to speak. In solitude, we truly get to know what's the purpose of life. Should I not meditate and pray and make peace with my past demons of the past? Then yes, it says yes. In the deep meditation, then you see the good, in deep solitude, then you are able to make space in your mind to get rid of ill will and then and replace them with goodwill. Even the much talked about the virtue of loving kindness, of Dharma, or Buddha, all realized in solitude. Shakyamuni Buddha basically have to change where he is going to be situated, not only what he does. So for him, it was a fundamental quarrel with the palace life because it's not solitude. And people were too many there, activities and demands on him was too much as a king, and so he was not free. When you have no freedom, you can't progress spiritually or whatever. That's Buddha sought solitude. When he sought solitude, he didn't want anyone with him. All his people who wanted to come and look after him, he slowly dismissed all of them. So he was a really free person without anyone asking of him whether he needs water or whether he needs clothing or whether he needs food. Nobody was doing that. Because of that, there's no demand. Nobody is cause of his nuisance. Nobody is cause of his own heartaches, anyone. Therefore, he got enlightened in solitude. You know, even today, if it wasn't for peak season, you go to Bodh Gaya, it is a really, really solitude, far away from everywhere. You know, there is a train station somewhere there, but it's still far away. There's an airport there, but still far away. And yeah, it is far away. You know, he would have not got enlightened in Kapilavastu. That's why he had to distance himself. Not only the palace, but the people in the palace. Not only the palace, the activities in the palace. Then he had to learn to develop detachment from the people and sentient beings. Most people want to practice meditation, but they are too attached to the company of sentient beings and who are not pleasable by us doing things with them. And they are so futile, they're so childish. They will hardly benefit your spiritual progress. If you have some, it probably will hinder your spiritual development. They say, oh, please don't go. I'm still around. Oh, you shouldn't go. These kids are still young. And yes, and everybody get excuses for not being free to go to solitude. And when they retire, then they're too old to go to solitude. They would rather stay in community of other old people. so that will be very wonderful. All these elderly people everywhere needing amazing care, and then become even more depressed. So more depressed. If you have young ones, even old people are really happy to have very little young ones. Even old people, when they see young, they're really, really happy. They really discover new life. When there's a couple of generations have interaction. Those people are in just one single generation, and then they become really, really depressed. So that's why, if one does not take up the opportunity to seek solitude while one day we'll be too old. You will be too unfit to be in solitude. Yeah, it would be very difficult life to live alone in time of old age, in time of all the signs of illness and so on. Then you will not survive. That's why Buddha didn't waste. At 29, he had to go out. He had to get out of palace. All the doors were locked. He had to break the door, so to speak, in form, symbolically speaking, and went to the northern gate, and he never looked back. Why? He ran fast, riding his horse with the aid of his attendant, Kantaka and horse Chandaka. They escaped all night, and they took him so far away in the Magadha kingdom. And then he asked them, he felt it was far away enough to not to notice by anybody. Then he took off his royal gear and his jewelries and horse and give it to his attendant, asked him to take back. because he knew now he was in solitude. He became free only when he exchanged place of his dwelling. So that's why we delight in solitude. We can rejoice in solitude. These days people say, oh, so far, retreat place so far. People mustn't have any merit to go to far places, to be free from all noises. They want to be near all the troubles. That's the problem. They want to stay as close as possible with all the troublesome folks. And so, yeah, they're never free from the troubles. Yeah, when you go into solitude, firstly, the people don't even know you are there. Secondly, there are nobody who will be looking for you, because fools do not go to solitude. Only wise go to solitude and then progress spiritually. So that's why go to solitude and no one will find you. No one will find you. So that's why this is amazing mindfulness subject. This is the, remember, subject of mindfulness, and topic is how to meditate on such things, solitude. You may be not in solitude. Maybe you are in your home or when you meditate. Just say, I'm going to meditate after breathing a little bit. Just the virtue of solitude. Those who don't meditate on the virtue of solitude a long time, they will never make up time to go there one day. They're too scared. They've been going too far away. The chooks or horses or dolls. You know, they have to be near those creatures, remember? as the doll thinks that we are indispensable or something. No, dolls are pretty happy. I know. But people are never free of time to go to real good places to meditate. Unless they meditate like this. Subject of the meditation should itself, for maybe a few minutes, you just meditate on the virtue of solitude. Virtue of solitude. Shantideva has quite a few things to say about the virtue of solitude. I think I think we have some reading here. Yeah, it says here. There is no opportunity for liberation from the world suffering for those who are distracted by the attachment to wealth. Trees do not show disdain, and they demand no toilsome wooing. Fain would I consort with them as my companion. Fain would I dwell in a deserted sanctuary beneath a tree or in a cave, with noble disregard for all, never looking back on what I have left behind. Fain would I dwell in spacious regions owned by no one, and there a homeless wanderer follow my own mind. A clay ball as my only wealth, a robe that does not tempt the robbers, dwelling exempt from fear and careless of my body. Alone a man is born, quite alone he meets his death. With this private anguish no one shares, and friends can only bar true welfare. So this is topic on how to rejoice the solitude, and then make up one's mind to go on solitude, even if it's a few days to start with. You know, it's really, really nice to be on your own a couple of days, and see, then notice your craving or lack of it, or focus and meditation. Then you can really say, what I'm going to do during this time, and then you become more. Then you really look up in your notes what are the subjects like the virtue of solitude, and how peaceful, how tranquil, how trouble-free, how distraction-free that was. And then you not only rejoice that delight of solitude, but you actually feel the solitude, you know the solitude. And in solitude, people reform the mind and clarify the thoughts, clear the thoughts, feelings, and really resolve to change, take up the amazing teachings to go forward from there. Now this is those who delight in renunciation. Yeah, you can't delight very much in solitude unless you renounce the sentient beings. Yeah, the people. We have to renounce the togetherness from people who are really needy and really demanding, and you can never make them happy, and they're so unreliable, and you thought they will be useful for each other, but they actually become exactly opposite. They say, short-lived yourself, how can you think that others quite so fleeting are worthy of your attention? Thousands of births will pass without a sight of one you love. When unable to see your beloved, discontent disturb your meditation. When you have seen him, your longing insatiate as ever returns as before, then you forfeit the truth of reality. Your fallen condition shocks you no longer. Burning with grief, you yearn for reunion with the one you so cherish. Worries like these consume a brief life. Over and over again, to no purpose, you stray from Dharma eternal for the sake of a transient friend. To share in the life of the foolish will lead to the states of woe. You share not, they will hate you. What good comes from contact with fools? Good friends at one time, all of a sudden they dislike you. You try to please them, quite in vain. The worldly are easily contented. Advice on their duty stirs anger. Your own good deeds they impede. When you ignore what they say, they're angry and head for a state of woe. Of his betters he is envious. Of his equals he is strive. To inferiors he is haughty. Mad for praise, wroth at blame. Is there any goodness in these foolish common men? Self-applause, belittling others, or encouragement to bad, such evils sure to happen. When one fool meets another, two evils meet when fools consort together. Alone I would live. In renunciation, renouncing, meditating on the demerits. It's not saying they are bad. The people are bad intrinsically. Saying the togetherness bars what each one they want to do, particularly like meditation. So alone I will live in peace with unblemished mind. Far should one flee from fools. When met, they should be one with kindness, not in hope of intimacy, but to preserve an even holy mind. Enough Dharma's work I will take from them, just as a bee takes honey from the flower. Hidden and unknown, like a new moon, I will live my life. So that shows that importance of growth in our mind, not needing to be with everyone. We think we are needed, but they probably will be relieved that we are not around. But we have this delusion thinking we are always needed and we're indispensable. There's someone happy that you've gone away 5 days. Or 5 months, even better. So therefore, actually they feel thankful that give them some room to freedom and so on. But we ourselves also begin to truly practice what you call renunciation, being able to distance from troublesome situation, and one actually able to practice renunciation. Renunciation means definite conviction. It doesn't mean just giving up or abandoning others necessarily. It means you have this definite conviction that this kind of way of consorting and depending on each other, expecting each other, is not the way to live. It will not mutually benefit in the long run. It will rub against each other in the long run, then actually benefit each other. So therefore you develop definite conviction that we are meant to part anyway, and we might as well part before the problems become too difficult. And so that's why this parting doesn't mean you're abandoning them, ignoring them, nothing to do with them. That kind of parting lots of people do, but that parting doesn't part from ill will. This parting is a definite parting that is good, and therefore nge jung in Tibetan. Nge has a meaning of certainty. Jung is becoming. It has become a certainty that you have become good. in the result of doing that. If some people part, but part from distance, they are apart physically, but they're not parting from their aversion and anger from each other. That's not renunciation. That's a hate. Hate is not renunciation. Renunciation is a definite emergence. Some people translate that as definite emergence. Something has emerged from that you never thought was possible. By learning how to give up something, that you have emerged to be the victor, the winner, so to speak, because you didn't give in to the foolish demand on each other, and who only bars true good, as the Shantideva said. Foolish people only restrict and hinder you from making spiritual progress. They want you, they need you. You wanted to do something, they become the very hindrance. But when you have a definite conviction how to go about to make a true becoming, true transformation, then you rejoice in the ability to practice renunciation, and then even set them free, because we can give them a lot. When you renounce, some people are really happy because you gave them everything you have for them, whether it's a possession or position or experience or all his books or all his bookshelves or whatever it is. They're so happy you give them. And then you can move. You have none of that burden holding you back. So that practitioner, disciple Buddha, will awaken by practicing renunciation. So this means we have not become awakened, not just yet, not because we haven't tried, because we haven't renounced anything. Because we haven't renounced anything, even it look like we're practicing or look like we're studying. In the meantime, we haven't renounced anything. So one needs to really reflect on what is renunciation and how do I develop the ability to create a definite emergence, meaning true transformation. True transformation, not just superficial transformation, true transformation. Separate, good. This topic is those who day and night delight in meditating on nothing, nothing. So, just your mind doesn't entertain anything. It's almost like making your mind completely void. Make your mind be free from anything, and just entertain yourself on anything, but nothing specific. And when we are trying to do when we try to do one thing too seriously, it becomes a problem. Now, sometimes meditation has to be on nothingness, and when you do that, it's this amazing dignity of carefreeness. It looks like you're not doing nothing, but it's so carefree. It's so free of expectation and disappointment and grievances and attachment. When your mind can be void, can become void, can become empty of any fixations and doubts. Because when you want something, you always doubt something. When you don't want nothing, you just simply want to be free from wanting. And that meditation on delight in the nothingness. And maybe you're walking down, but people say, what do you want? Where are you going? Nothing. You can say, I want nothing. Good. I think, of course, then it gives them free. Oh, they don't have to worry. I want nothing. Some people say that actually, when they don't get what they want, and the people also are very not helpful to give you that. What do you want? I want nothing. All of a sudden it's like a thunderbolt, Of course they are telling you didn't give me A, B, C. Now Why would you try to give me something? I want nothing from you, people say sometimes. Which is quite amazing saying if you dare to say that. You know, actually it almost severs the expectation from each other. And in many ways that's a cutting the ego from attachment and clinging to things. And quite a lot of time when people part from something, they say, I want nothing to do with it. Yeah, that's really good. If you really went with it, nothing to do with it, good. But most people don't do that. They go, but they take the aversion with them, the resentment with them. So they have too much to do with you. Ever since that aversion has not decreased but increased. So that's not a parting. They never left. You thought that. This is what I was saying before. True transformation. Renunciation is true transformation, not artificial transformation, artificial renunciation. Okay, now the last verse. Those who day and night delight in nirvana. Now this is meditating, delighting in the nirvana of the Buddha. Nirvana of the Buddha doesn't mean this passing away of the Buddha. No? Of course, corporally it is passing away of the Buddha, but means that he actually he's beyond sorrow. He has no sorrow. Sorrowlessness. Meditating on the sorrowlessness. Whether if of any of all the topics we discussed, you just sit there and no sorrow whatsoever. Usually sorrow is caused by ill will, greed and desire and doubt and remorse and anger and confusion, ignorance. When your mind has no sorrow, then you have reached actually nirvana, whether you physically passed away or not. Physically passed away or not. There will be bliss, there will be truth, because nirvana means absence of sorrow. Absence of sorrow doesn't mean there's no other feeling. The feeling is indescribable but blissful. It's transcendental peace. It's peace, basically. This is those who meditate on peace. Those who actually know how to meditate on peace. Means they can unsit ill will, anger, jealousy, arrogance, competitiveness, and all of that. And then their mind become totally at peace. The peace that you have is ending of all the sorrow, ending of all the confusion and disappointment, and when you're able to do that, then the person is truly on the path of awakening, and also the others will also learn to become awakened. Just learning how to make peace with one's past, with others, and then no sorrows, no heartaches, no complaints, no aversion towards anyone or anything, but mind completely become transcendent of any anguish that there previously was. And it might even mean passing away. Then you really died. Your suffering died. Died means pass away sufferings. When someone passes away, it means they died with the sorrows. There is no sorrow left of that person. In his identity, there's no sorrow, because there's no feeling, no perception, no volition, no consciousness, none of these things there. Therefore, there is no truly existing sorrow. And so the sorrowlessness is realized by having a mind that does not create sorrow. It doesn't mean that you could not know the sorrow of others. When you have realized nirvana, Buddha is not someone who doesn't feel others. Because he reached nirvana, he become even more compassionate to those who are stuck in their past sorrows and unable to move forward. And therefore, Buddha is deliberately emulating, deliberately manifesting to make a difference, to aid others to become free of the sorrow. So, so this is the 15th chapter on the topic of mindfulness. So these 28 verses that we've gone through are all really subject of meditation. According to this chapter, one should meditate, be mindful of these things analytically. So, of course, it's said at the beginning you can do the breathing as well. So breathing, not mind, super qualified type of meditation. It's still meditation in itself. So when you have got some simple techniques of watching the breath slowly, it makes way for your mind to be able to meditate on these later subjects like emptiness, sightlessness, renunciation, merit of the solitude, and you're not sitting there not knowing what to meditate. There's ample examples that you can meditate. So these are all conceptual subjects to meditate on. And so when you can see, say if you meditate on the virtues of the qualities of Buddha or Dharma, you are meditating, sitting still, watching the breath, but primarily you're meditating on the virtue of Buddha, then that can make you to enter into deep meditative absorption, delighted, so much delighted by not only know some qualities of Buddha, but being able to see the merit of being mindful of them, their qualities of the Buddha. One who knows how to meditate on the qualities of mindfulness of Buddha, they will not let their mind live idle to be available to be sad or hurt or angry or the samsaric things. He is mindful enough to choose what subject the mind should be thinking about, or what subject the mind should not be thinking about. There is a particularly clear demarcation between what should be thought about, what should not be thought about. So one is able to basically practice as one of the verses says, don't do any harm, do what is good, purify your mind. This is teaching of the Buddha. So that actually is coming in the next one. Means that when you stop doing what is harmful, that is because you're mindful. If you're not mindful, you wouldn't be able to do what is harmful. Do what is good. You could not find yourself doing good. But in meditation, you are able to do that. You are not restless. You are not agitated. So you must be stopping them. And if you're stopping doing from bad things, then you must be free to do good deeds. Yes, exactly. You're able to recollect meditate on the quality of the solitude. And so when you're able to meditate on the solitude, then your mindfulness now is very, very empowering your decision to be in the solitude. But others who go to solitude place, all of a sudden they start missing things. And then they straight away leave, or straight away don't want to stay. You can see how distractible little mind is. One moment they want to do this, another moment they don't want to do this. And they always listen to such a volatile mind, because they haven't any techniques which consistently empowers them to discipline their mind and to be mindful on certain things, such as the topics that we discussed. Now, when you are very familiar with these topics of mindfulness, you can do this mindfulness, either of those, either in the form of meditation, after a couple of minutes of sitting and checking posture and breathing, then one can be very meticulously list all of these to meditate one after another, and then do the inhalation of all the qualities of the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, the generosity, and tolerance, and emptiness, and so on. And when you breathe out, you do breathe all the exact opposite, instead of the meditation on delightfulness of solitude, you might be thinking and breathing in, but when you can breathe out all the demerits of congested living, how difficult it is to live in such crowded places. You have not much room to be quiet, peaceful yourself, and so then you can just see how quickly I can set myself free from such such distracted place, but actually learn and yearn to go to such quiet places, peaceful places. Not only one is delighted, but one is actually aspiring to go such places where the noise and obstacles are so few, the conduciveness of peacefulness and tranquility are all just the right kind of conducive to the meditator and to his meditation. And so one who knows that will indeed induce himself or herself to make a reasonable plan how to develop in meditation, in solitude. And then the very practice that going to solitude itself becomes a meditation. Just being in solitude and rejoicing the space and clarity and clarification, the mind is happening about a number of external issues, and you're making peace in those places of solitude. In place of solitude, people actually change a lot of their feelings of the things in the world that they were so struggling to deal with. In spaciousness, in clarity, in solitude, and one actually can have some of the best conversations and clarify the mind. And then each of these topics of meditation makes you more and more mindful than being in actual retreat. Even in everyday life, one can choose a couple of these to meditate on a journey or while you're walking or something like that, or in actual form of meditation. Then there's this great effort that has gone in to compiling this list of this very meditation, this very mindfulness chapter, chapter 15, verse number 28. So we have concluded that there. So with that, we'll dedicate the matter for all people.